the markets are really the last bastion of pure capitalism, in that it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you have, what planet you've emerged from. Everyone has the same opportunity to make money in this environment. And I think that when you say evolving, that is exactly how we've evolved. This is how Tactive and you are evolving, and it's been an incredible journey as being sort of the face of all of this, because my job is to really continue to make it accessible by explaining what people should do outside of what everybody else tells you to do, because everybody basically says the same things over and over and over again, and people jump in blindly without any experience or knowledge. And I try to give them at least some substance, some kind of a foundation, so that they make these decisions, they understand why.
Sorry, it's funny. I saw, I think that was your dog at the office there. I don't know if you hear in the background, which at some point I'm going to fix my podcasting studio to be in my basement. But if you hear Cooper in the background, can always edit him out. But
hey, inclusive, that includes dogs, of course.
Yeah, well, and that's the beauty of being able to do this and reach a lot of people, is you can do this from your home. And I mean, look, you're in Santa Fe, I'm north of Chicago, and I feel blessed, just because my vision, actually, when I started Tactive and as a financial advisor, kind of transitioning my practice, was to do everything from home. Even prior to starting the family, with that on the horizon and knowing I was going to have a little guy coming. Well, I didn't know I was going to have a little guy, but thinking at some point I would start a family, could have a boy or a girl. The goal was to sit here and work from home. And that's what we get to do now. And COVID definitely changed that for everybody. And you brought up a good point that, however they got their money, people started working on the markets, and that really started happening during COVID in a manner that had never happened before. I mean, it was unprecedented what was going on with. I actually think Robinhood was a good thing, so you could say yes or no on that, but I think it brought a lot of people into the retail market because it made it accessible and easy, where a lot of times maybe they thought it was too. I mean, it was scary to go down to Merrill Lynch or your local bank, or go to Morgan Stanley. Half the time they wouldn't even take you because you didn't even have enough money. Right. I remember actually when I was doing research to become a financial advisor, I did go to Morgan Stanley. I did go to Merrill Lynch. I gave them the story that I just inherited a bunch of money from my grandparents and I needed something to do with it. And it was funny, if I walked in originally, they looked at me and they pretty much just assumed I had no money, which was true because I was giving them a story just to do my research. But at the same time, as soon as I changed and said, "Oh, I inherited $500,000," it was like, "Oh, well, we can help you, and that's our minimum." And it was just a different. It was just interesting how all that worked. But going into how the sentiment has changed and how the retail investor has really come to the front of everything, and how this is the great equalizer. I heard you use that term too. What does it mean for retail? What does it mean for retail investors right now? Because you're so on to the current environment. What does that mean? And I know nobody has the crystal ball, and you can't tell us what's going to happen over the next 6-12 months. But what does it mean for them right now? What should they be doing? I mean, people are scared. They don't know what to do. Oh, wait, one more caveat. Sorry, I keep adding more to you.
Sure, that's okay.
I just did a small video because I was talking to one of my good friends, and advisors don't know what to do. He literally sat down with his advisor. Now he's got a few $1 million with this advisor. And he said, we really aren't in the market right now. Should I put some money on the market, or should we stay on the side? What do you think we should do? And the advisor said to him, she goes, I'm not quite sure if the market's going to go up or down. I'm trying to be cautious. What do you think we should do? Because that's what
kudos for honesty, because most of them aren't, and certainly no offense meant, but one of the things that I've experienced over the last, almost 2 decades, is listening to advisors tell people, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. The market always comes back. Buy the dip. Things are cheap. buy what you know, all of the different platitudes that you hear over and over. So to get back to your original question, what should the retail investor do right now? Well, there are different types of retail investors, and I think one of the things, if you are already in it or thinking about getting into the market in one way or another, is really kind of decide what kind of investor you want to be. And I say that because there's tremendous opportunities in the day trading space. You have obviously the meme stocks that came out of the whole COVID, and even though they've kind of died, now you have ODTE, which is the one-day options expirations. The ability to day trade, and I mention that is because that's how I got started. I started out as a day trader, and it's a really great way to learn, but you don't have to day trade everything. So the next thing is, if you decide you want to be a day trader, pick one thing and get good at that one thing. And so for me, when I started, it was in coffee, sugar, cocoa exchange. And it's interesting you mentioned Merrill Lynch, because I got 2 jobs on the same day. I got a job working for Merrill Lynch as a clerk, which means I was running orders from the brokerage houses into the pits, or Conti Commodities hired me as an actual analyst for coffee, sugar, cocoa. And I took that job, even though I knew absolutely nothing about coffee, sugar, or cocoa. I was coming really basically from schools.
Sure.
The point is that I knew that if I became an analyst, I would be forced in my job description to tell people all over the world, the brokers all over the world, what was happening in these markets. That would force me to learn. And so I became a specialist in coffee, sugar, cocoa, right? And then I started to trade. They made me a member. So, and obviously the floor is an environment that is completely 100% all 5 senses immersed in trading. And at home, we have distractions. But the takeaway is to become a specialist in one thing and decide what your initial time frame is. And I never paper traded, by the way. That's the other thing, is I never paper traded. I always put real money on the line, because it's the only way you really learn about yourself, is how you take a loss. When do you get out of a win? What emotional damage or what emotional accolades you get for yourself, depending on the trade, how much it actually impacts the rest of your life and the rest of your day. The only way you're going to do that is with real money. So that's the first thing with retail investor. And I'll get to what I would do now. Some retail investors, though, want to be more passive investors, because they've been told that passive investing is the way to go.